So, my translator, Sean, told me not to start conversation with the soul. Always comes up. It's kind of Indian habit, I think. Mindfulness. So very happy to be here today in this beautiful place. Rinpoche told me to give a kind of transmission or some kind of rough commentary on this wonderful aspiration prayer by Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo. And I received this teaching intensively from Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche in France a long time ago. Since then, I always try to read this supplication prayer. I can't say I practice, but I make an aspiration. So Rinpoche thinks it's good auspicious to give a kind of commentary in this short aspiration prayer. So you guys have received teaching from Tugu Sangha Rinpoche. So I don't think there's much I can, or there's more I can add to what Rinpoche has been teaching. Like I mentioned before, he was the very diligent student of Khyentse Rinpoche. I was the lazy one. So he learned much more than what I did. But even though, just to make a spiritual connection, that he asked me to say a few words on this practice. So I have Lama Sean here to help me translate in case I'll try with my little English. Most of my English I learned from Hollywood movies, so there's not much useful Dharma words in the language I speak. So it's better to have a translator. And the second thing is, if I say anything wrong, I can blame the translator. So please, with the proper attitude, listen to the teaching. For the sake of all Mother Sentient Beings, we receive these teachings. Whenever Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche gave teaching, even it's a very short one, that he always goes on and on about the setting our mindset, proper attitude. When we were young, we hear that so many times. Sometimes we feel a little bit bored. Oh, we heard this already. Let's get to the main point. But anyway, I think I realize now it's most important is to set our goal. Whether you receive teaching or whether you practice, setting our mindset for the sake of all sentient beings, then we cannot not go wrong. If we miss that point, then sometime, even though look like we are doing serious practice, then maybe there's chances of off the track. So therefore, it's always very important, whether we do short practice or receive teaching or any kind of engage in Dharma activity, I think it's very important to set the goal, have a proper attitude for the sake of all sentient beings, that we listen to the Dharma or we practice the Dharma or anything that related with in our spiritual path. Siji yunde kunji jungne tengsho giwe shalande to teba somju loju tawa jizun lamen chinju lopshis. Can you read that in English, Sean?
I bow down before the spiritual gaze of the Supreme Vehicle, the source of all that is positive in samsara and nirvana. May the precious masters grant their blessings so that my mind is purified to the three kinds of faith.
When we become Buddhists, like I think Himalayan Tibetans, we are born in kind of Buddhist family, Buddhist background, so somehow we just roll into it. But maybe some of you in the West, you are not really from the Buddhist background, but somehow you are inspired or get inspired by the teaching that you hear. Or sometimes maybe you get into practicing Buddhism because you are interested or you love the culture or tradition. Or sometimes people go through some difficulty in their life, especially related with the mind. Then they seek for some kind of refuge and try to find way to help. So nonetheless, whatever the reason we sort of connect with the spiritual path, I think we have to be a genuine practitioner, to really seriously practice. We must have, I think, genuine sense of renunciation, feeling of renunciation. And that's, I think, simply if you think that we all look for some kind of happiness. Nobody's looking for suffering. Nobody's waking up in the morning saying that, oh, I wish I'll be not happy today. Like the Indian man. He said, everybody wish to be happy when you get up in the morning. I think it's important to understand the samsaric world. We all seek for happiness, looking in different kind of ways, trying to become richer, trying to become more famous. So all those things, we can see that the richest man is not necessarily the happiest person. The most powerful person is not necessarily the happiest person. So therefore, so and so we can think, see that that's not way to achieve the happiness. And then the second teaching of Buddha, what causes the suffering due to negative emotions, desire, hatred, anger, jealousy. And due to these negative emotions, then we accumulate negative karmic deeds. So nobody's really like happy when you're so angry. Nobody's really happy when you're jealous. So those are all very kind of understandable. I think one thing about Buddha's teaching is taught in very much in Ranjing naturally. Not talking about some kind of another entity that controlling us, but he talks based on reality. I think we can say based on reality. I think Four Noble Truths, basically, especially the suffering of the samsaric and the cause of the suffering, I think anybody can agree on that, no matter what background you are, whether you're spiritual believer or non-believer. There's a possibility of getting rid of these negative emotions because we are not inherent. We are not inherent in our being. Like example, like anger is temperamental. Temporary. It comes and goes. We don't get angry for a whole week. Sometimes we get angry, sometimes we get angry disappears. So it's not really in the nature of our mind. So this is temporary. So therefore there's a possibility of getting rid of it. So that is the cessation, is by getting rid of all the negative emotions, and then we will achieve the ultimate happiness, enlightenment, Buddhahood. So now how to achieve that enlightenment, Buddhahood, or enlightenment or awaken, free from these negative emotions, which are the cause of the suffering. Then there's a path, the teaching of Buddha. His Holiness Dalai Lama quite often uses Buddhist science, Buddhist view, and Buddhist practice. Buddhist science is like a research. The suffering of the samsara and cause of the suffering. So these two are Buddhist science, like a research. Then Buddhist view has a possibility of getting rid of this suffering by using methods. So that is kind of Buddhist view. Then the third one comes Buddhist practice. So Buddhist science, Buddhist view, Buddhist practice. So Four Noble Truths, sometimes His Holiness Dalai Lama described like that. So when it comes to Buddhist path, then there are like so many different teachings. Mainly, I think we can divide into three: the Shavakayana and Mahayana and Vajrayana. And then in Shavakayana, I think by using antidote for each of these negative emotions has an antidote. By increasing the opposite, example, instead of anger, if you generate patience, loving kindness, then there is naturally there's a less space for anger. You cannot have the same time, same moment, love and hate together. So by using each of these negative emotions as antidote, so by increasing these antidotes, then there's a less negative emotions. So this is mainly, I think, practice in Shavakayana. And then Mahayana, we are using the negative emotions, Nyumong Jurwa, transforming them. So that is the main teaching here today, based on Mahayana kind of approach. And then we have the final one is Vajrayana. So I think you have been practicing this morning, the Vajrayana practice. So in order to do Vajrayana practice, I think we must have all the other two. The first essence of the Shavakayana is sense of renunciation, wanting to be free from the suffering of samsara. And then on top of that, then we have to have Mahayana attitude, not for oneself, but for the sake of all sentient beings. Then on top of that, then we do the Vajrayana practice. So since we are here focusing on this teaching, which is more on the developing bodhicitta mind, first, the four words is the whole actually the teaching is like making aspiration, but the first four words, it is to making kind of making supplication to a teacher. So teacher here, of course, again, when you talk about the teacher, there are so many different layers or different teacher, but I think basically, teacher is someone who inspire you in the path. Someone who put in practice, who has first knowledge, and then that person has put into the practice, then certain realization of understanding of guiding you in the path. So that is, I think, teacher, that in order to practice, we have to rely upon an authentic teacher. So in the scriptures, there are so many different descriptions, so many detailed descriptions to find authentic teacher. And then when you talk about authentic teacher, in our case, like Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, that one who has been so many years in retreat. Before that, he met so many teachers, received so many teachings. He has more than 50 different teachers. And then himself put in practice for more than 20 years. Then after as per his teacher's kind of request or instruction, then he continuously, non-stop teaching. Since Khyentse Rinpoche belongs to Jime master, non-sectarian, so he took responsibility of preserving all the major tradition of Tibetan Buddhist tradition, and especially in Nyingma lineage, Rinpoche really emphasized on protecting and saving and encouraging people to continue, like in Rinpoche's case. Rinpoche yesterday mentioned that Rinpoche insists that continue on Namchak tradition. So likewise, there are so many. In fact, Khyentse Rinpoche, when he was alive, he would, if you ask him, what practice should I do? Rinpoche would never give you his own dharma or his own kind of treasure teachings. He would always emphasize on whichever is like about to lose or about to disappear. So he will always emphasize on them. So like that, he was worried about the preserving of all the major schools of Tibetan Buddhist tradition, and especially in Nyingma tradition. So I can see now that because of the kindness of Khyentse Rinpoche, so many different traditions are still very much alive. So one example here, Namchak tradition, also Rinpoche's inspiration, Rola, like that. So that is what we call the holder of the Rime tradition. So this is one example. So it's very important, I think, rely upon the real authentic master teacher. Then how to rely upon, then Tepa Sum. Sincere. Devi Tepa.
Conviction or desirous. Wishing.
So how to rely with the teacher is the three kind of faith or three trust. Once you find the authentic teacher, then I think, especially in Vajrayana path, we have to completely trust. Example, we 100% trust our life with the helicopter pilot. If he was like half drunk or walking a little bit crazy, I wouldn't get on that plane. So basically trust, I think. Tanjo nyekan jigla shebe lende lando tsursin tsunjin, Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo jizin lame chinji lopshi.
The preliminaries, the basis for practice. May the precious masters grant their blessings, so that I may train thoroughly in the preliminaries, recognizing how hard it is to gain the freedoms and advantages and how easily they are lost, so that I strive always to act in accordance with the laws of karma, adopting wholesome deeds and avoiding what is harmful, and develop genuine renunciation for samsara.
So once we have a genuine kind of sense of renunciation, wanting to be free from the samsaric world, genuine kind of. So to get this genuine renunciation feeling, the more you look into the samsaric world, the more you understand the defaults of the samsaric world, then we naturally get a genuine sense of what you call renunciation feeling. So I sometimes compare with a roadside restaurant in India. When you feel very hungry, you're traveling long journey and you feel hungry, and then you see all this delicious curry layout outside of the road. You come out of the bus, and then the smell is so tempting. You really can't resist, your mouth watering. And then you go backside, and you see the kitchen next to the toilet, open toilet, and the flies going back and forth. And then the guy who makes the chapati with sweating and dripping into chapati. And then right away, that appetite is gone. Without much effort. So that kind of genuine kind of renunciation feeling then is not so difficult to really engage in practice. Otherwise, if you don't see the background, the kitchen, or the samsaric kind of pleasure, then it's sometimes difficult for us to sort of engage ourselves fully into practice because we haven't seen the kitchen yet. So then, once we get that kind of genuine kind of understanding of the samsaric world, then I think example like Buddha, he had all the pleasure and comfort of the prince, yet he left everything and went into achieve something more important, greater than the worldly kind of pleasure. Similar with Jamyang Khyentse Rinpoche's case, he was born in noble family. He had every kind of comfort that in Tibet, whatever exists that time, but yet he left everything and spent his time with his teacher in the mountains. So therefore, once we understand, then we know practicing Dharma is something greater cause. So this kind of, in order to get that, then there are teachings, Tanjo Nyepa Kawa, precious human life. Precious human life, there are so many different teachings in the Khyentse Lame Shalom, very, very detailed. And I think if we put together, I think it is to understand the potential we have in this human life. The potential we are so much, compared to other mammoth, sentient beings or animals, mammoth, our brain is much more intelligent and use of that intelligence to achieve something greater. And in the teachings, he says human realm is the perfect condition to practice the Dharma. Yes, I think maybe dolphins have bigger brains, but it will be difficult to practice Ngondro as a dolphin to do a postation or whatever. You don't have a big hand. You can't even do Tham Namaste. Sorry to make some jokes. So I think human's perfect condition to practice the Ngondro, practice the Dharma. And then I think we have to make use of this intelligence. If we just born, live, eat, die, then we are not so much different from the other animals. So therefore, I think finding the right path, like Lama Tsoma said, try to find a meaning of life, meaning in giving meaning to life, right? So that is, I think, basically what precious human life, Tanju Nyepa Kawa, is talking about. Then the second thing is, once we know that we have this potential, then everything is changing, everything is moving so fast, impermanence, moment to moment. If you think back in our life, some of us in 50s, 60s, what really we did that we can think that I did something, right? We have traveled a lot, we have talked a lot, we have done so many things, but what really we did that gives some kind of meaning to one's life. If you have done 3-year retreat or something, then there is something. Otherwise, I think we can say 90%, I can more or less say 90% of our life we don't even remember. It's like a dream, not even a dream, it's all gone, right? So the time is moving so fast. Every moment is getting closer and closer to the holiday that we are all supposed to take, the death. In fact, I saw some article in one of the magazine. It says that it's not a Buddhist or religious magazine, it's just magazine. They said that people make so much arrangement for holiday, next year holiday. You start booking hotel, you start making, booking air tickets, research about the place where you're supposed to visit. But we never make an arrangement for that everlasting holiday that we're not going to come back. So I think it's worthwhile to put some effort into making some arrangement for this, our upcoming death. So that is what we call the second impermanence, law of impermanence. And then when we go beyond that, then it depends on how we lived our life It's in the teachings they say, what was your past, what was your, if you want to know what was your past life, see what's your situation now. And if you want to know what's going to be next life, then see your action now. Right. So therefore, when we go, then it depends on how we live our life and depends on our action, and that is going to lead us. So therefore, we have to be very careful and diligent. Every kind of day, every moment we have a choice. Do the right thing or the wrong thing. So being mindfulness and always trying to do the right thing, then we'll end up bring the good result. So that is what we call law of the cause and effect, which is again, I think, very much based on reality. The good karma and bad karma is not someone says this is bad and because of that is bad. Someone says this is good because of that is not like that. It totally depends on mainly our intention. With a positive intention, we do some action that will help, brings kind of happiness or good to others. That is positive karma. With a bad intention, do some kind of action. So intention is more important. Like I'm sure there's teachings in the Gyaltsab Lamé Shalom, example of the tsatsa and the shoes. I'm sure you already heard those teachings. So with all these four thoughts, or four
thoughts that turn the mind to the
four
Dharma.
thoughts that turn our mind into Dharma. So this is, I think, is very important. Even we do Ngondro practice, of course, accumulation is there, but the four thoughts is, I think, is very important. This is the main kind of part of the Ngondro that Khyentse Rinpoche used to say. And then I think that's why it's called the foundation. If you want to build a big building, you must have a good foundation. So if you have this four thoughts in your mind, then I think the other practice becomes more stable. Zungzin deme ingsu jangde, dajen de do tonen samo chanchu semni ta to gomba, jezun lamin chinju lobsheis.
The second verse reads, May the precious masters grant their blessings, so that I may always cultivate the two aspects of bodhicitta, purifying my dualistic perceptions, which have no basis in reality, into all-pervading space, and practicing the profound exchange of my own happiness for others' suffering.
So now for the main practice, main part of bodhicitta practice, the first, I think, here a little bit emphasize on the absolute bodhicitta. So I think the reason is that some teachings, I think, first they focus on the relative bodhicitta and then leads to absolute bodhicitta. So this particular tradition of the 7-point mind training, it focuses on the absolute bodhicitta. So all phenomena, all perception that using maybe some Madhyamika idea that understanding everything, all phenomena is empty. Example, there are many examples given, like if you call a table, then we think it's a table, then we take out the four legs and we take out different parts, then table doesn't exist. So likewise, we go deeper and deeper into it, then at the end there's nothing but sawdust. And like that, there's so many different ways of analytical meditation to understand the emptiness. Even house, whatever, if you go look deeper and deeper into it, you will not find some kind of solid that what we have labeled goes into the then same thing with analyzing your mind. Also past, present, future thoughts. The past is gone, the future is not born yet, and present. So like that, by using all these kind of methods, different methods, then to understand the absolute kind of emptiness. I think the reason why they put the absolute bodhicitta first is that the more you understand emptiness, the more you understand possibility, so that you feel stronger compassion towards those who do not understand the emptiness. And because of that, they, caught into the samsaric world. So therefore, I think the understanding of emptiness is very important. So of course, we have to understand two truths, absolute truth and relative truth. So these two truths we have to understand. So the more you understand this possibility, absolute truth, then relative truth, relative compassion increases. Example, if some guy is drowning in the ocean, and then you see that person is helpless. So trying to swim, but it's not able to come out of the ocean. Then there's nothing you can do, and you just feel sorry. It's pity. I wish that person be saved, but there's nothing we can do. But then if you see an island just behind him, and then if he just turn back, then he will be saved. Then you see a possibility. Then you feel stronger kind of urge, saying, oh, I wish if he just turn his face that way, he will be saved. So the compassion is much stronger. So likewise, I think, the more you understand the emptiness aspect, then more you feel compassion. Some people say, if everything is emptiness, then why we need compassion? I think that's misunderstood. The more you understand compassion, I think, then the more you see more you understand emptiness, then more you see there's possibility to be saved. So therefore, first we have the absolute bodhicitta, and also we have some kind of, with this resting with after analytical meditation, understanding some kind of understanding of the emptiness, then resting on that also help us to calm our mind in order to develop the relative bodhicitta. Because our mind is so kind of disturbed so much. So then once your mind is so disturbed, you cannot really focus well. And especially these days, so many things happening in the world. So our mind is even more disturbed. Like when I visited Tibet, Mount Kailash area, it was so quiet, so peaceful. And naturally you feel kind of calmness there. So now when you come out of that scenario and we come into this so-called developed world, then people have more kind of disturbance in the mind. Also reason for our masters in Tibet there became such, I feel the reason why our masters from Tibet have achieved such realization is because in Tibet there's not much distraction. In fact, there's nothing to do there. And if you don't practice, you will feel bored. Oh, I feel so bored, I better go and do practice. So here is opposite in this modern world. Here, even though here it's quite peaceful, but almost like Tibet. So therefore, I think it really helps to have some calm abandon experience. And some of my friends told Rinpoches that teaching in the West, they say it's very important for the people who begin practice in the West to have some understanding of karma bind, because there's so much distraction, so much thing. So that is a way to kind of train our mind. And I think we can increase this slowly. First with someone you love, someone you care. It'll be easier, much easier to practice. Wishing that person to be happy, wishing that person to be free from all the sufferings. And then gradually we increase to people who we don't know. Then gradually we increase to that, especially I think when you get a little bit used to it, then we can more or less focus on if you have someone who makes trouble to you. I think in many cases your neighbor, maybe. Many people have a problem with your neighbor. Or if you have someone who disturbs you. Once His Holiness Dalai Lama, I remember, someone asked question, how can I understand, or how can I know whether my practice is going well or not? And then His Holiness said that, imagine someone you don't like in front of yourself, and then try to generate your loving kindness. And if you can do well, that means your practice is going well. And if you're not doing very well, then your practice is not going well. So I think we have to work, like in the mind training, always they says that whichever the negative emotions or whichever it's really bothering us more, then we have to focus, use all the different methods to destroy that. Destroy means like if there's someone who really you hate, and then you have to visualize that person and then try to generate loving kindness. And if that's a difficult, then that's the point where you really have to train your mind. Then we also use the breath. This is kind of natural flow. So when you breathe out, you just imagine. I think it's very easy. You don't need any kind of implements there. You just sit and breathe out. Just by breathing out, giving all the positive, all the virtuous deed that you have accumulated. And then when you breathe in, you just breathe in all the suffering or the pain of the beings, bringing into yourself. So that's, I think, training our mind. Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo.
May the precious masters grant their blessings so that whatever adversity and sufferings may arise, I see them as the wiles of this demon, ego clinging, and transform them into the path towards awakening.
So whatever a difficulty in one's life, problem in one's life, then we be able to practice. So this is I think is very important, because the more you practice, the more you should be able to handle the difficulties, situations, circumstances in your life. So understanding everything is the self-cherishing, danzin. In the Madhyamika, first we cling to I, oneself, then we cling to mind. So we circle in the samsaric world. So this I, again, I don't think we need a very deep philosophical study to understand that. You don't say I the hand, you say my hand. So hand is not you. You are owner of the hand. So then who is this owner? Usually we say it's the mind, right? And we don't say I mind. We say my mind. We different between me and the mind. So who is this behind your mind? The name is given to you when you are born. In fact, you are born with no identity. UFO. I mean, unidentified crying object. Unidentified crying object. Right?
Yes.
So the name is given to you, and then if you really like simple kind of little analytic, there's no really, don't need to be really deep philosophical understanding. So because of I, then we have mind, then this and that. Except for the iPhone, we have the iPhone. I quite often say that iPhone is selling very well because there's I on it. Everybody loves I. So I think a simple meditating, simple kind of analytic meditation. So because of the I, then everything is there. All the problems. So with understanding that, with understanding this I, there's so many examples that I give one example, like beautiful, walking by the shop, and there's a beautiful Chinese vase in the display showroom display, and while you're walking in front of the shop, and someone's cleaning the window, and somehow that person pushed the vase and breaks. So you see the scenario of the breaking. So you say, such a pity, it's a beautiful vase. That much. Now the same scenario, the vase is given to you, or you bought it, was very expensive. Then somebody push over and breaks. It's the same vase, same scenario. One with I, one without the I. One with the label I, oh, it's catastrophe. One without the label I, oh, it's pity. So I think everything, as long as we have this label I on anything, then it becomes more serious. I don't know what Rinpoche is thinking. He's testing me, actually. So like that. So whatever circumstances come, and try to see it is it is the default of this self clinging to the I. Jejun lame chinchilo shtirarwa ha. Samjor thabe sosa dibjong melam thamje top nga dembe. Seji nyamle nimbo dewa jejun lame chinchilo shings.
May the precious masters grant their blessings, so that I might focus upon the essence of the practice throughout my life, and always apply the 5 strengths of pure thought and pure deed, gathering merit, purifying obscurations, and making prayers of aspiration.
I think I can share a secret with you. Actually, I'm very frightened of flying. When I saw the program, this is flying by helicopter, I said, oh. That's why I insist to go back in the car. But no, it was good for me. It was good for me. Once I was going in a mountain in Switzerland somewhere, in the gondola. Gondola, they call it? Elevator?
Yes.
But that's still stick to the ropes. And there was quite strong wind, and the gondola was shaking. And there's a French guy who does some practice. He learns some teaching. He learned some Buddhist teaching. He didn't speak very good English. So I told him, I'm so scared. It's so high and it's shaking. And he said, isn't this an illusion? So I said, theoretically, yes. Theoretically all this, yes, but when you put into practice, it's a little bit difficult. So today I got a good opportunity to to meditate upon the illusion. But I was okay, not too bad. Especially, I think I developed this kind of fear of height after the earthquake in Nepal. Yes. But anyway, that was a comfortable ride. It was good, but good experience. Yeah. How to implement this teaching in one's kind of as a part of daily life, or carry on with this practice? Then it was told that five powers, pembi top. So after receiving this kind of bodhicitta teaching, or when you really want to practice, put into your kind of daily life practice, then first method is called pembi top. Means how do you say pembi top? Pembi, yeah, okay, pembi top, yes, benefit. Then the second one is gombi top, familiarization, gombi top. Actually, I think meditation, gom in Tibetan means familiarization. So once you become very familiar, and then any circumstances, it will not kind of disturb you. Quite often in the Lojong teachings, it mentions that if you are such a good horse rider, then no matter how much the horse jumps, you will not fall off from the horse. So sometimes circumstances comes. I think we should prepare, be happy to have the circumstances so that you can see whether you can practice the mind training or not. So if you're quite ready for any circumstances, then it becomes kombitop, become very familiarization. Then third is karbo sabenjitop, putting a seed into oneself. So when you practice the lojong or mind training practice, it should be your main kind of thing. So even you go to temple and make aspiration, then aspiration should be that may I, the bodhicitta born in my heart. Even you do some accumulation, circumambulation, then always make aspiration saying that may the bodhicitta born in my heart. So that is Gabo Sabenjitop, like putting a seed of bodhicitta. And the fourth one is Sun Jimbitop. Sun Jimba, regret. Regret. Sun Jimba. Huh? Regret. Fed up. Fed up. Fed up of the without bodhicitta mind. Sun Jimba. All the defaults before we could. Before we practice bodhicitta, then we are sort of caught into the samsaric world, then we suffer so much. So that therefore, the default of the not understanding or not able to practice the bodhicitta mind. Then melam jitop, making aspiration always again and again, saying that may the bodhicitta born in our mind or heart, whatever you want to call it, like the common one we usually do, Chanchu Semcho Rinpoche, Mache Padam Chejuji, Jeba Nyamba Mebayang, Kone Pavashu. So making aspiration. So these are the 5 kind of methods so that we can carry on the practice of bodhicitta into our daily, how to carry on the bodhicitta practice into our daily life. Topma. Tene chögün danzen nyembo chashin. Teaching tensh injikel. Chögün danzen nyembo chashin rangse wang toba yidi dengji garjen tamje lamdo longwa jezun lamin chinchilopshi.
The measure of mind training. May the precious masters grant their blessings, so that with joyful self-assurance and freedom of mind, I may bring all adverse circumstances onto the path, and everything may become a remedy to ego clinging.
So once we know that all the troublemaker, all the problem is due to our self-cherishing or ego clinging, then yi de dengji means we have some kind of confidence that whatever difficulty arises in our life, then we can use that as an using to overcome or antidote of the self-cherishing or ego clinging. Then we're sort of ready to accept any difficulties in our life. So the more practice you do, you become more kind of, the more practice we do, there should be less complaints in the life, whatever situation. Because every circumstances arise, then we can use that as a challenge to practice our bodhicitta. So that way there is no kind of fear in the life, because whatever circumstances, difficulties that we face, then we're always ready to use that bodhicitta practice. So all the difficulty circumstances, use it in the path. Example, we get a strong kind of anger. Then first recognize, okay, now I got this anger. Then understand this anger is due to anger, then we get in a lot of trouble. Due to anger, we accumulate a lot of negative karmic deeds. So therefore, I'm going to use this anger, first recognize the anger, use this anger to free the anger of all sentient beings. So I will liberate all this anger. So similarly, any negative emotions arise, I think the first thing is to recognize them. So I often say that anger is, sometimes it has more effect and more kind of damaging, but it is more easy to identify. Because when you get strong anger, then you can feel it. The blood sort of shoots out. And especially if you're white, you become red. If you're dark, maybe you don't really see so much. Anyway, that's a joke. And other negative emotions, I think something more subtle, like jealousy, can be very, very subtle. We don't know when it's coming. And because of this kind of subtleness, we cannot identify. And when we cannot identify, then we cannot use antidote. Just like sickness. Certain sickness are very, very, like some of the cancer sickness. It's difficult to see that it's there. And by the time then you feel it, it's already late. So similar, I think jealousy comes very, very subtle, you don't really feel. And then it sort of triggers many other emotions. And like a pride also another thing. That sometimes we can be very proud, thinking that I'm not proud, so therefore I'm so good. I'm such a good practitioner. I'm not proud. So these negative emotions are really, really tricky. So there's subtle ones, I think we have to watch out. And once we identify them, then there's so many teachings how to handle them. This is all the teaching Buddha says, Rangi semni yongsudul dini sangji tempayin. So most important is that if we can utilize them, then I think the practice goes well. Garchen tamchi lamdo longa jizun lami chinchil of shakes. Kelang tenden suche tanda chori meba nganzen chungo lojong tamzi sojin songa jizun lami chinchil of shakes.
May the precious masters grant their blessings so that I might keep my promises without hypocrisy and always remain impartial and free from obstination, guarding the Lojong commitments as I do my very life.
And this practice is so beautiful, so helpful, even though, of course, there are many kind of higher Maha-Anu-Ati teachings, very higher tantric teachings, which is, of course, very precious and very important. But I think basic, if you don't have bodhicitta mind, then rest is becoming superficial, kind of. So therefore, I think it's easy to practice and very useful in our day-to-day life. So without sulche tang tal, chori meba ngansen chungo, lojong tamse soji songa, jizuname chinjil, no matter what I will never let go of this bodhicitta mind. So in order to do that, then we make firm kind of commitment, saying that I will keep my bodhicitta mind. So there also in the mind training detail, more mind training detail, there's a way to also implement into our day-to-day. We make kind of commitment saying that for 1 week, I'm going to practice this diligently. Then after 1 week, that's okay, I'm going to do next week. I'm going to do next week. So that slowly, then we sort of get used to doing that. And sometimes I think, I feel that in sometime in the modern world, bodhicitta means like, let everybody take advantage of me. So that's maybe misconception. I think maybe you should check with the Rinpoches and all that. We have right to protect ourselves, but yet we should not have a hate against others. So I was joking with my Christian friends, saying, Christians, you say, if someone slaps you on the right cheek, you give the left cheek. And I said, we Buddhists will hold the hands. Because if you let that guy beat up, then he'll keep on beating up everybody. So that guy will get in trouble. So better hold his hand and teach him a lesson. So I think that without holding, of course we have negative emotions will come. Even practitioner, I've seen some of the practitioners, they have some kind of negative emotions arise. They're not become vegetables, like after a few years retreat. But I think the difference is that practitioner should not hold on to it. It comes and let it go, like the bird has no trace. And if you keep on holding it, then you're no practitioner. So practitioner might have some anger, but they don't hold, just let go. Any desire will come and let go without holding into it. Then that's how we sort of get caught into the so-called samsaric world. So therefore, I think we always make a kind of commitment, firm commitment, saying that I will hold bodhicitta mind without bias. That's also, I think, very important, without bias. Without bias and without kind of limit, without limit. Also, I know I have a friend who has been a student and received teachings. At one point, he got in trouble, and he did something naughty, and he got in trouble, and he was put in the jail. And he came out, and he was so angry with the jailer. And I said, yeah, but you have been received so many teachings. What about your bodhicitta mind? What about your compassion? He said, they are beyond bodhicitta and compassion. So rude, he said. So there is no such thing as beyond bodhicitta and compassion. In fact, I know there's one Tibetan man. I heard from His Holiness Dalai Lama's teaching. He met one of the recently arrived Tibetans, and this guy sort of sat in front of His Holiness, and he said, I was put in the jail, I was tortured so much, and I was so afraid. And His Holiness said, are you so afraid that you will die? He said, no, I will lose my bodhicitta mind. Yes, so no matter what, we have to firm commitment that never let go of the bodhicitta mind. Without lojong tamsus, without showing off, low profile, remaining in low profile, ngonchen chungu. I think this is also very important in our modern kind of living style, modern world. Especially if you're practicing Che or something and you're living in a flat, you don't want to wake up the neighbors by blowing the trumpet at night. I think low profile very important. We have a responsible being a Buddhist. If you're a Buddhist, we are responsible being good Buddhists. And we don't want people saying that, oh, those Buddhists are so noisy. In the middle of the night, they ring bell and trumpets and all that. So we have a responsible to sort of show a good example of good human being, which is the base of all the kind of qualities to develop basic human goodness. And on top, once we have basic human goodness, then on top of that, then we can develop bodhicitta and loving kindness, all that. Without the basic human goodness, it's difficult to develop bodhicitta. We can be a very, very good doctor. Of course, good human being, good doctor is best. But you can be a very, very good surgeon, but not so good human being. You can be a very good carpenter, not so good human being. But you can't be a good practitioner, a bad human being. So I think base is basic human goodness. And on top of that, then try to develop bodhicitta, mindfulness, and with low profile keeping. So here, that's I think what it meant. Dorna chanchu semni pewe labjatam zu tsujin loba, tsendir tejo zebatoba jizun lamin chinjin lobshi.
May the precious masters grant their blessings so that I may genuinely follow all the precepts for increasing the two aspects of bodhicitta and within this lifetime gain the realization of the supreme vehicle.
So this is making aspiration to the, actually it's all making aspiration to the your teacher. No matter what, may I, the two bodhicittas may increase. May I be able to practice bodhicitta mind, tsuljindu, with genuinely, loba. Then may I achieve, may I achieve, how do you say that?
Gain the realization of the supreme vehicle.
Nyame cho yase tujudan tenden gejon sola ni nemede rogun janju toban zechik.
And the dedication reads, through the merit of this heartfelt aspiration to practice the 7 points of mind training, the heart essence of the incomparable Jo Atisha and his heirs, may all beings attain the level of perfect awakening.
So this is aspiration that we always make, that may the, because Buddha showed the path, right? Buddha showed the path, and we have to follow the path. So therefore, when we make aspiration, that we always say that may I be able to follow the path and become like you. Become like you. May all the beings we achieve the bodhicitta mind. Tan Dilgo Khyentse Wangpo. CGUND Kunjun Tinjukiwa, Tebasum Loju, Tapa Jizin Lamachin, Tajunia, Landeland, Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo, Jizin Lamachin, Sunsin de Bengus and Tajin, Chanjus and Lamachin, Jizin Lamachin, Chang and Dancing Jensen, Jizin Lamachin, Samjo Tapet, Sosa, Benon the Tom, and what Jizin Lamachin. Chukin dancing, Nibu Chachi, Ranza, the Kajam, Jizin Lamachin, Canton, Shulima, Lojong Thompson, Soyas on Jizin Lamachin, Donna Changes, and Lajatan and Sojalo. Sender tejo batoba jizun la menje jelopsh yame cho ya so tuju tenjun de ngeno ni ne membe legend rogun janjo tobara ji I like to share this some experience from the experiment, if you have time, just a few minutes. Some people seems to like this experiment we did. I came to with mature regard. Came to Wisconsin, one of the science lab to study, and I'm sure now they have developed so much furthermore. But that was quite interesting for me. They said that everybody has a kind of happy or not so happy. Everybody has their own kind of baseline. So some people naturally kind of see the positive side. Even you go to a fancy restaurant, they say, oh, it's cool, it's nice. Some people, no matter where you go, they always say, oh, it's not nice, right? So everybody has their own kind of baseline. So they did some kind of experiment that people, when they win a lottery ticket, that kind of the happiness what do you call that thing? Marker shoots up very high, and within 6 months, it comes down to the baseline. Average around 6 months. Love at first sight, boy and girl love, shoots up, and within 6 months, it comes back to the baseline. In fact, sometime after marriage, it goes below the baseline. But anyway, everybody has a baseline. They said by practicing bodhicitta mind, they tried with some few people who practice the bodhicitta mind. The baseline goes up. There is up and down, always, of course, but the baseline, like a stock market, baseline goes up. And also the interesting study in America, the consumer rate is going up. The people's satisfaction rate is going down. It's gross. So it really shows that, the more kind of consumer doesn't necessarily brings us kind of happiness or satisfaction. So therefore, this science research is quite interesting. I'm sure now when I went, it's 1996, after Rinpoche passed away, 96. So now they keep on doing that research. And there's sort of more and more findings that using this Buddhist teaching and technique that really helps people to become happier, become more calm and positive. So I think this center is all about that, isn't it? Thank you very much. So I dedicate this moment.